Hey team, today's topic is how do I train for a 3:10 marathon? I know a lot of you right now are trying to run 3:09:59, and I'll definitely tell you from my own background with this event, sub 3:10 for the marathon is definitely competitive. And I know a lot of you, maybe you're at 3:45 right now, maybe you're at 3:20, you're getting real close to breaking that barrier. And sometimes jumping these significant jumps in ability is as a psychological barrier more than you not having the capability to do it. You know, there's athletes out there that haven't yet broken the 4-hour marathon that have gone out and broken 3:10 for the marathon. So really, it's a matter of just staying as consistent as you can, and knowing that it may take a few iterations. Okay, if of training for this event to get under the 3:10 barrier, you need to hold 7:15 mile pace for 26.2 miles, or 4:30 per kilometer for 42.2 kilometers. I always talk about the importance of not running someone else's race. Okay, if you're wanting to break 3:10 for the marathon, run a negative split. Do the best you can to run a negative split. Don't go out the first half too fast. Okay, if you're trying to break 3:10, you don't need to be going out the first half in a 1:25. You need to go out the first half, preferably around, if it was me, it'd be around 1:36:30 to about 1:36:30, and try to come back with a 1:34:29. Okay, and again, it's still going to be, even if you're trying to run and you run a negative split, if you've done your homework and training, it's still going to hurt in the second half. It's going to be harder to run at significantly faster paces that second half than you did in the first half, but it's a much more enjoyable experience if you don't get too hyped up in the first half and and have to be forced to drastically slow down in the second half. Okay, breaking the 3:10 marathon, obviously, it's going to take time and effort. A 20 to 24 week buildup is preferable. Okay, minimum buildup for this in terms of if you really want to do it right, is 16 weeks. Okay, if you're trying to cram all of your training in an 8-week block of training, it's not impossible to break a 3:10 marathon, but the faster you're trying to run this distance, you really want to pay attention to how effective you are, and have you allotted sufficient time for yourself to break the 3:10 barrier in training. Okay, an athlete that's given themselves only 2 months versus the athlete that's given themselves anywhere from 4 to 6 months, preferably 6 months build up for this, is going to have a much better shot, a much higher percentage of success, because they allotted sufficient time for their body to adapt to each specific workout that is in the sub 3:10 marathon training plans I have on RunDreamAchieve.com. Okay, I do have shorter plans for 8-week, 12-week, 16-week, all the way up to 24 weeks, because I know a lot of you out there don't necessarily have a full 6-month block of training on your schedule to be able to do that. Maybe you have a marathon coming up in 2 months and you need 8 weeks of training, and you're like, okay, screw it, I'm going to go and I'm going to do the very best I can and try to get this 3:09:59 in 8 weeks. And it's still definitely possible to do it. Okay, it's again how well prepared you are. Have you done at least a few weeks of aerobic base leading into your 8-week buildup? That is very important. Okay, the types of workouts that I recommend, that I was always doing, that helped me go from 2:43 to 2:30 to 2:19:35 for the marathon, was obviously consistent mileage. I was running anywhere from, and again, this is also individual. Okay, some athletes out there can get the same results off of 50 miles a week as the athlete doing 100 miles a week. So don't get so hyped up on your volume. Look at your training each week and find out, okay, I'm running 50 miles a week, but I'm running 90% of my volume aerobically. Okay, 10% anaerobic, 90%, say 90% aerobically. You're going to have a hard time. You're going to be in phenomenal shape, but you're going to have a harder time going up against the athlete that's maybe running 40%, 30 to 40% of their weekly volume at around their anaerobic threshold or faster. Okay, a lot of these top world-class athletes or national class athletes, or even athletes that are better than you currently, it's not a matter of you not having the capability to do it. Sometimes you're in this case, a sub 3:10 marathon is definitely a very, very competitive time. Okay, and so you're not going after an average time. There are very few athletes around the world that run under 3:10 for the marathon each year. So my advice is to continue to train work your way first to teaching your body how to do between 4 to 5 miles, or around, out to around 8 kilometers for your tempo runs, and getting yourself accustomed to running at goal race pace. So in this case, 7:15 mile pace or 4:30 kilometer pace for 8 kilometers or 5 miles. And then as you get fitter, work your way out to around 10 miles or 16 kilometers, or even out to, around 12 miles for your tempo runs. That takes time to adapt to each specific intensity. Obviously, the faster you get, your paces per mile or paces per kilometer, and the more fit you get, the paces are going to gradually get faster. You're not going to need as much recovery in between each one of your, say if you're doing repeat miles or repeat 800s on the track, you won't need as much recovery. Your paces should be increasing, and you should be giving yourself much less rest in between each one of those repetitions. When I was at my fittest training for the marathon, I would aim at doing 1,600 meter repetitions with 60 seconds rest, between 45 to 60 seconds rest in between each rep. And I was running anywhere from 444 to 446 per rep for those 1,600 meter reps. Okay, that's what helped me get to running a 2:19. I was doing varied pace long runs. Okay, if you've in the past as you've been training for this 3:10 marathon, if you've run every single weekend, you've done your track workouts, you've done your tempo runs, you've done your hill repetitions, you've done fartlek workouts, but every single weekend you're running long, slow, and easy for your long runs, stop doing that. Okay, again, when I'm saying that though, I know that every athlete's not the same. So some athletes will get phenomenal results off of running long, slow, and easy for their long runs. Okay, maybe they're not being quite as aggressive in their track sessions or their fartlek workouts, but they may get similar results as the athlete that, say, is doing varied pace long runs. But there are other athletes out there that really need to really make dramatic jumps in physical fitness, and to be able to go from, say, a 4-hour marathon down to a 3:09:59 for the marathon. If you're at that point, if maybe your personal best right now is 3:55 and you're dreaming about breaking 3:10, you need to make some serious changes in how you do that long run. Okay, so that might mean doing a 20-miler. Okay, this is a type of example, the type of workout that I like to do when I was training and I was at my fittest, and also would help me break 2:20 for the marathon, is I would do a 20-mile run, and every fourth mile I would run, say, around a 450 to 455 mile, every fourth mile of that 20-mile run. Okay, and then in the middle of those really hard all-out miles, or just about all-out, I would do moderation type efforts. Okay, that might mean running at 7-minute mile pace, or running at 6-minute mile pace, or around 5:25 to 5:35 mile pace. Again, I would do a mixture of different efforts throughout that long run. And that was really one of the biggest keys that helped me drop from a 2:43 to a 2:19 for the marathon. I've seen athletes that have improved far greater than I did. I coached an athlete that was following my 3-hour marathon plan who had a PR of 3:46, who ended up running 2:58. There are other athletes that have followed my philosophy of training on RunDreamAchieve.com who've reached out to me and said they dropped 30 minutes, over an hour. You can do that in the marathon. You can run significantly faster in this event because it's such a long event. It's much more aerobic in nature versus a 2-mile or a 5K, which is very anaerobic. Okay, you can still improve in those events, but can't drop quite as much time because, again, it's a shorter event. So I want you guys and gals to be thinking about what I'm talking about here, okay? Gradual increases in your tempo duration, okay? And be patient with yourself, because as you get fitter, your paces per mile and paces per kilometer will, in time, 3 to 4 weeks, your body will adapt to each stress you're placing on it. So right now, if you're having a hard time running 6:30 mile pace, be patient. Give yourself about 3 to 4 weeks and see how that pace feels in a month from now, okay? You're just getting into better, you're just starting your training plan. Expect the fact that it's not going to be very easy for you to even do maybe a 2 to 3 mile tempo run in the first few weeks of a marathon buildup. Again, in the early stages, everything's difficult, but as you get fitter, you're moving into several weeks into a buildup, that 3-mile tempo run that you were having a very hard time with, you can hold the same pace now for say 8 to 10 miles. Okay, so and not be as much out of breath as you was at the early stages of your build-up. So I really hope this makes sense to some of you. I know I can only say so much in each one of these videos, but I will definitely make any additional videos about this topic, and especially reach out to me below any of my videos. If you have a question, a concern, a topic you'd like me to cover, I will definitely reach back out to you. It is my goal here on RunDreamAchieve.com and the RunDreamAchieve YouTube channel to answer each and every athlete who responds back to me, whether that's through email. I do the best I can. I do get a lot of emails. I get a lot of comments, so I do the very best I can to keep up with that. I'm not always as quick as I would like to be, but I do the very best I can to respond to each one of you. I really appreciate your support of this channel. Liking and sharing these videos is very helpful to me as well. I want to obviously continue to share my expertise with athletes around the world, whether you're a beginner or you're an elite level athlete. I know that athletes that are total beginners in the sport can teach us veterans of the sport something. So I'm not caught up with times and how fast I've run. I mean, there are plenty of athletes out there who have run faster than you and I. Okay, so always maintain being humble and being professional in what you do, and you'll continue to get faster and be a success in this sport. So wish you guys and gals all the very best in your training and racing, and I will talk to you all in the next video.